Hey y'all, so the Impact ATL Season 2, Episode 2 dropped last week and I'm late, but I wanted to do a recap still. So let's get into this episode. So it starts off with Karlae and her friends ATV, and of course they're going to talk about her sitting down at Tuson's party and the whole death situation. I'm sick of this death situation already, but she basically tells her friends what happened with Des and how basically Des was just like, it was just business. It was nothing personal. It was just business. And Karlae she tells her friends that she just feels like it was shady. She still wants to get to the bottom of it. She just doesn't understand why, if it was just business, why the music ain't come out, and why did Des invite her to Mariah the Science concert and then not answer the phone. So she's still on that. So then we get to Des, and she's sitting down with her manager and assistant at OLG, and they're like, oh, well, that was years ago, and yeah, it was just business, nothing personal. Des is still sticking with this just business, not personal, and it's not that serious. Then we get back to Karlae, and she's still talking about this situation with her friends. And I'm just like, Karlae, she's telling you to your face that it was not personal, like it was just business. She didn't see you as a friend, and you see her as a friend, and that's hurtful. Like when you see somebody as a friend, and they just like, oh no, we're not friends. Like we was just working in the studio. But it's like, stop dragging it. She's showing you who she is and what it is. Why do you keep wanting to have a conversation with her when she's going to tell you the same thing? Move on, like next topic. And I just know that they are going to drag this throughout the season. And it's only 8 episodes? So I hope that this is over by the beginning of the 3rd episode, because I cannot. It's not that serious. She's showing you who she is. Listen to her. And the next scene, we see Ari and her sisters at her house, just chatting it up. And they start the conversation with Ari basically telling her sisters about the Des and Karlae argument or conversation at Tuson's party. Then they get into a deeper conversation about their Kiana and Ari's dad. They talk about how they wish they were daddy's girls and how their dad wasn't really there. Like Ari talks about how, as she grew up, he disappeared more and more, and then he just stopped showing up overall. And they don't talk now, and she hasn't seen him in 2 to 3 years. She says family don't mean nothing if you ain't holding on to what family really means. She says she loves him, but he was never there for her. Like, she don't feel like she could call him if she ever needed anything. She says she's been beat on by men and never once thought to call her dad. I was like, OMG, girl. She said she used to feel like if a guy did not fight her, that the guy did not love her. And she said she feels like her dad should have been there to tell her, you don't let no man treat you like that. That is unacceptable. She's like, she didn't have the best example of what love is or how a man should treat a woman. And she feels like her dad should have taught her that, and he failed. She says she's 27. What can he do for her now? And she's like, in her confessional, there's so many things that she feels like a man should do that are requirements now for her in relationships. But she had to learn that through growing pains and actually going through those situations. And she could have known all this all along if her dad was in her life. Now, Bird and Kiana suggest that she tries to work it out with him. And she's like, well, what if he doesn't want to try? And that is when I started crying, because the way she said it, my heart, I was like, oh, that's so sad. But Bird's like, at least if he doesn't want to try, then at least you tried. And then what if he does want to try? And he can heal things that she hasn't healed from. And I do suggest, we do see in the later episode preview that she does sit down and talks with him. So I hope that she does get to heal, because honey, my feelings were sorry. I'm like, I'm so sad for her. But that was pretty much that scene. The tears was running. In the next scene, we see Tay and Tuson fabric shopping for Tayshawn whole shit, and they briefly talk about Tayshawn and Tuson working together in the studio. Tuson tells Tay everything he missed at his party. Basically, he was just talking about Karlae and Des. Tuson calls Karlae messy, and Tay in his confessional talks about how he met Karlae. So they met when Karlae first started dating Thug, and Tay went to go do her hair, and they became family like after that. Like they was just real close, and all of a sudden something happened. Tay is really trying real hard not to say, but basically this is what he says about it. He says Karlae made up something about him. It was talking about him. There was some personal things said. He said he doesn't want to put it in the air, and he just wants to keep his distance from stuff like that. So I'm not sure if we'll ever know what happened with that. And I can understand where Tay is coming from. It seems like he's at a point in his life where he doesn't want to deal with like the drama and stuff. He just wants to be peaceful. Also, on Twitter, somebody asked Karlae, like, what did she say about him? And she said she didn't say nothing, but it's obvious you had to say something because, like, y'all not cool. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's, like, miscommunication, but let's go to the next scene. In the next scene, we see Leah shooting for the cover of her single, Wanham Hood. We get introduced to Keontae, who is her girlfriend and stylist, her everything. She says that in her confessional. Leah wants these photos to be P approved because she says P is really hard to please. She tells us that she met Keontae in the studio, and when they finish shooting and they're just sitting in the car talking, Tuson FaceTimes Leah, and Leah invites him to Pride in DC. She says it's important for her to support because she's a part of the LGBTQ community. And I like that in confessional she said she supports Tuson and she sees him grinding. I'm like, yes, girl. Then she plays a message that P sent her about the song Wanham Hood, and basically he approved this song. He was like, you might have a hit on your hands. And in her confessional she says you have to be viral to be the next big thing in female rap. I can tell that's something that she seems to be stressing about because she also has talked about how she hasn't released any music since Mind Your Business. And Mind Your Business was actually a really good song, and I think it was like a hit song. And I think a lot of people struggle to like connect when it comes to Leah and her music because I feel like she's a great rapper, but I don't see like a lot of people connecting with her or like even like listening to it, which is kind of sad because I'm like, she's a great rapper. Sorry for the background noise, y'all. I had to turn the air on. But in the next scene, we see Tuson meet up with Cash Doll in the studio. In his confessional, he tells us that he met Cash Doll in ATL at a Pride event, and he walked up to her as a fan, and they've been talking on Instagram ever since. Tuson says he's been rapping since he was like 11 or 12, and Cash Doll is asking him about like how he got into rapping and stuff like that. He says when he was younger he used to rap about like lollipops and girls and stuff, and he wasn't really feeling like that. He wasn't feeling that topic, like he didn't want to rap about that. And at the time he was under his auntie and his dad's management, and he didn't want to tell them what he really wanted to rap about, so he took a break for about 3 years. And then after his break he started to like post freestyles, and he admits that he wasn't really comfortable coming out as gay because he was like my friends and family, they kind of know, but like, you know, they don't really know till you come out as gay. And he says he loves raps, and he wants to do it his way. He plays a song for Cash Doll, and she agrees to get on the song, and she also compliments on him on being real and raw and tells him to keep going. And I'm so happy for Tuson because if you've been following him on Instagram, you know he's always posting Cash Doll and showing her love. So that's great. In the next scene, we see Ari in Houston. She's with Nemo and Molo at some type of restaurant. She briefly talks about Yosan's birthday party, graduation party coming up. Nemo asks her how co-parenting is, and she's like, co-parenting's good, there's no problems. She says in her confessional that she treats her like a brother and that they had the worst breakup, but she would never think to take Yosan away from his dad. And she says she can't imagine ever abandoning her son like her dad has done to her. She talks about how Bag has helped her grow and leave her childish ways behind. He makes her stand down and like submit, kind of, she was saying. Basically saying she loves her man. And after that, we see her go to her hosting and have fun. Next, we see Leah and Tuson link up in DC. They're at a lounge. We meet Tuson's boo, Magic Mike. And so in his confessional, he's like, I never hid my man from the world. I was hiding the world from my man. And he said he don't like to talk about his relationship because it makes him blush. I was like, okay, Magic Mike, you doing something right. So how they met was, they was like out somewhere, and Tuson had asked about like, who's that? And then one thing led to another, and Tuson was whispering in Magic Mike's ear, and next thing you know, they was kissing. So I guess that's how that went. And Keontae and Leah talk about how they met in the studio 6 years ago, and they've been together ever since. And they say the key to their relationship is keeping people out of their business. Leah says in her confessional that she keeps the things that she loves private. She also asked Tuson if he's ready for what's to come with being like a gay rapper in the industry. And Tuson's like, well, you know, I have tough skin or whatever. And in his confessional, he says he doesn't consider himself a gay rapper. He just considers himself a rapper because straight rappers don't walk around saying, oh, I'm a straight rapper. So he just considers himself a rapper. And they cheers, and Leah goes on to perform at her booking. In the last scene, we see Yosan's party. Now, this is probably the most interesting scene from the whole episode, I'm not gonna lie. So it starts off with Ari and her family like setting up. She says she rented a house for Yosan's party. Her family and her friends were there. Tuson shows up with Ari all over his hoodie. All over the hoodie.
Oh my
Hey,
God.
boo, look at my shirt. You don't like my shirt?
Tuson, why would you wear that? Seriously.
Ariana got my front and my back. You can't block my kisses now, boo. Mwah.
Who made that? Then you got my ass up high in the air.
That's how we do. You know how we do.
I hope they don't get me for putting that clip in there. All the adults sit down and eat, and Tuson asks Ari where Herb is. She's like, he missed the graduation, so I said he should just miss the whole thing. She says that he overslept and missed his flight when he could have got on a flight the day before. She says he should have planned better. I agree, he should have planned better, but he should have been able to go. Well, he did end up showing up, but she should have gave him the address to come. She was being petty. And Dolly says, you don't have to make him seem perfect or bad. And Ari goes, yeah, I need to work on that, so I'm not going to say shit. And I'm like, girl, yes. Don't say nothing. You don't have to say anything. Like, you don't have to say he's a good dad or he's a bad dad. You don't have to say anything. Don't say anything. So in her confessional, she says moments like this remind her of when her dad showed up less and less. And I kind of figured that because I'm like, she going kind of hard. And even though, like, he do need to be held accountable, she was going real hard. She also mentions how she was still mad that Herb left Yosan's birthday party early because he booked a show that day. And she was like, the least he could do is be on time and show up for stuff. So Herb does end up showing up. Her mom's like, all right, are we gonna behave? Are we gonna be nice? Be nice. I do think her mom ended up giving him the address though, because she's like, I didn't tell him the address. So she says, Ari says in her confessional, she doesn't let Yosan see her mad at his dad, but she is going to hold him accountable. So Herb and Ari do sit down, and she starts the conversation off with, you're being a terrible dad. And I was like, Ari, that is so mean. And I think with her, it's like once you piss her off, it's like it's no middle ground. It's like she's going straight to hell. And she definitely got to work on that, because like you can't start conversations off like that. Like, that is really rude. Like, and to be honest, I don't even think she really meant it, but I think she was pissed and she wanted to hurt his feelings, which isn't right. But so he goes, I just came, I wanted to see my son smile, and you know, that really hurt my feelings. Like, that hurt my feelings. Do you honestly feel like I'm a terrible dad? And of course, they're going to leave us on a cliffhanger and not show us the whole conversation, and then we do see a preview of them going outside and they arguing. So I wanted to see it, but I guess we'll see it tomorrow because tomorrow's Thursday. But dang, I did want to see it right there. But also in the preview we see Des crying, and then she's also talking about the shows missed with I'm not sure who. But I hope she's not crying about these shows again, because I cannot. We also see that Ari's mom was robbed, and Karlae and Tuson meet up. So I hope this episode is better than this new episode coming up is better than this episode. I will give this episode I'll give it an 8.5. I do want to see Tay because he is a part of the show. I really don't think he wants to do the show for real, but I want to see more of him if he is going to be a part of the show. I don't want to hear no more about Karlae and Des. Like, I really don't. I don't even want to hear about any more drama Karlae got going on for real, because I cannot. I think Ari has an interesting storyline, and I like that we're seeing more of Lakia, and I like that we're getting a little background to Tuson because we really didn't know much about him. So let me know what y'all think about the 2 episodes so far, and like this video and subscribe please, and have a good day.